Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about creating a Facebook ad for your geographic farming landing page. Facebook is an ideal platform to advertise home valuations. Your homeowners are certainly on Facebook, but it is a platform and it is a community with certain expectations, and you need to take those expectations into account when creating your ad. Here's the agenda for today's session. We'll take a big picture look at the entire process, including Facebook. We'll go in depth on keys to success with Facebook advertising. We'll quickly cover what you need in order to create a Facebook ad. And finally, we'll jump into Facebook Ad Manager and build out an ad based on what we've learned. Your Facebook ad is part of a process that includes itself, the landing page, and then of course, when you take the relationship offline after you've received the lead. It's important that you look at this entire big picture before writing your text for the Facebook ad. To be successful, your ad must get people's attention. Facebook users scan their timeline very quickly. Interesting images grab their attention. Well-written headlines grab their attention. Your ad must communicate outcome and value, because once you've gotten their attention, you need to build momentum towards them clicking through to your landing page. Now, in this particular example we've got here, there's three things we've done with that headline. We start by setting the stage. Dramatic changes in home values. That gets people to put on the brakes, along with the image itself. And it's true. But then we ask the question, and it needs answering. What is your home worth? Now, they may know that answer already. Maybe they don't. Maybe they think there's somewhere else they can get that answer, but that's where the third step comes into play, setting ourselves apart from the competition. We're more accurate than Zillow. So we've gotten their attention. We've communicated outcome and value. Now it's time to set expectations and next steps. You can see below the image we have 4 words that are actually fairly complicated. Request your free report. Request is important because it sets expectations for the next steps in the process. The user is getting a sense that they're going to have to give something in order to get this home valuation, but 2 words from there, free, they know it's not going to cost them. So again, that sentence there is actually very powerful. Request sets expectations that they have to exchange something for this valuation, but free, it's not going to be money. The last section of text is optional. We're taking the opportunity to personalize it by referencing the specific ad this is relevant or targeted to. We're also putting in some statistics that are specific to that market, and then we're just reinforcing some of the calls to action that we had higher up. So there are a few things that you need before you start. Of course, you need a geographic farming landing page, and if you're watching this video, this is something that you should already have. You need an image and you need text. We talked a little bit about the text already, and we'll talk about the image a little bit more here shortly. And you need a Facebook business page. Now, we're not going to go into great detail here on how to create a Facebook business page. You can go to facebook.com/business. The process is very simple. It's a couple steps, 5 to 10 minutes, you'll be all set. Now, let's jump into Facebook to create the ad. From your Facebook business page, click Build Audience and select Use Ads Manager. Click Create Ad in the upper right-hand corner or at the bottom of the list. The ad we want to create is clicks to website. Now, I would suggest that you actually open up your landing page in a separate window and copy and paste the URL just to make sure, but you can also type it right in. The next step is to click Upload Image to choose an image from our computer. Now you can upload images, you can browse a library of photos that you've already updated, or uploaded rather. Facebook recommends 1200 by 628. They'll take care of the resizing for you if you happen to not like the way that the image is cropped, or perhaps you want to crop in closer on a particular area. Use reposition images after it's uploaded. There's not too much on this particular photo that can be moved back and forth just a little bit, so I'll go ahead and leave it in the center. But you can also resize it and click done. Now if we scroll down to text and links, the first step we want to do is associate the correct business page with this ad. If you have more than one business page, they'll appear here in the drop-down list. If you only have one, it will automatically be selected, so there's nothing for you to worry about. So now let's actually put in the headline we talked about earlier, request your free report. And you can see that appears below the image here in the ad preview and placements. Then we're going to put in our text. Dramatic changes in home values. What is your home worth? We're more accurate than Zillow. And that actually goes above the image. The last bit of text, and again this is optional, is under advanced options, and it's the news feed link description. We're not using a button, so we're going to leave no button there. So on the right hand side you can see a preview of how your ad will look. Here's the desktop news feed. This is how it will appear for people who are on their home computers, whether or not it's a desktop or a laptop. If you go down here to mobile news feed, you can see what your ad will look like on smartphones. And right column. Now I'm actually going to remove right column because for me, advertising in the right column is too much like an advertisement. I wouldn't recommend it, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. I'm going to go back to mobile news feed. Now I do want to point out something here real quick, and it has to do with this news feed link description. Something that you'll notice is that this newsfeed link description actually gets cut off with a ... That's important to take into consideration, especially with mobile, because so many people access Facebook mobile. We made sure that our customizations, including market name and compelling statistic, were actually in the first few words so that they didn't get cut off. So let's scroll down and talk about audience. Now, audience is where Facebook really is powerful. So let's start with locations. You can do location by city. And as you type, it'll find the city you're looking for. If you put in a city, you can see that it adds this plus 25 miles. That's adjustable. If I go over here and hit this drop-down menu, I can choose a different extension, either 10 or 50, or I can go down to just San Diego. Another way that you can specify location is by zip code. Now I'm not doing San Diego anymore, but that's a fun zip code. Now you don't have the same options with zip code as you do with city name. So if you do by zip code, again, you can put in a series of zip codes to hit everything that you're looking for. For age, you want to select what's your likely homeowner and possible seller in your market. I don't know many 13-year-old homeowners, so I'm actually going to change this to about, let's say, 32. I'm not going to put a cap on it at all, but I could. Again, I'm just going to leave it blank. So this is everyone above 32 years old. I'm not going to distinguish between men and women. I'm just going to choose all. And really now is where you get into some of the more optional settings. You can choose languages, you can choose demographics, interested in relationship status, education level, but each one of these will only further refine your ad. Now, if your ad messaging has some sort of relationship with one of these demographics, then by all means, definitely use that to make your ad much more specific and much more targeted to the right audience. But I'm going to leave this open. Same with interests and behaviors. You can see here on the right-hand side, it's actually giving us a preview of what they call our reach. In this particular case, Beverly Hills and San Diego, and let me actually get rid of Beverly Hills here by hitting this X. So San Diego, 32 and older, I have the potential reach of 700,000 people. If I added more demographics, that number would go down. So let's move down to campaign and ad set. This ad set name is not client facing whatsoever. It's just a way that you can identify this ad from others that you might be running. You can see that it gives a pretty good description based on the demographics that you're targeting. I'm not going to change it too much other than specifying that it's the LP for San Diego. Now in terms of budget, you have a lot of different options for budget. You can either pay per day or in full, what they call lifetime budget. I'm going to go with per day, and I'm actually going to bump it up just a little bit to $10 per day. I wouldn't go any lower than $5, and you can choose to spend as much as you'd like. In terms of schedule, I am going to run this ad continuously starting today because I know that at any point I can go in and put the campaign on pause or stop it altogether. But you could, if you wanted to run it for a particular period of time, set a start and end date and time. Now bidding and pricing can be a little confusing. You have two options. You can optimize your ad for clicks, or you can optimize your ad for impressions. Now the only difference between the two is how you pay. With optimize for clicks, you pay Facebook when someone clicks on your link. With optimize for impressions, you pay per 1,000 people that see your advertisement. Now the cost for both varies depending on the market you're targeting. You can see here in San Diego, for me to show this ad to 1,000 people, it's going to cost me $6.08. If I want to pay per click, and I choose manual, it's going to cost me 68 cents. Now if you optimize for clicks and choose automatically optimize, in addition to paying for the click, you will also pay Facebook a relatively nominal charge for them to place your ad and change your bids continuously through the day. Think of it this way. Automatically optimizing your bids, make sure that your ad is out there when people are on there. If you think of primetime television, there are times in the day where more people are watching television, and the same is true on Facebook. These times are more valuable than others, and therefore the cost of advertising is greater. So if you were to manually set your maximum bid click, there is a chance that during these prime times, your ad would not appear because the amount that you said you would pay per click is lower than what everyone else is paying at that time. So there is a benefit to having Facebook automatically optimize your bid for you. It'll make sure that it's always out there. But again, keep in mind that optimize for clicks and automatically optimizing is going to be the cost of the click plus the cost of optimization by Facebook. In my case, I'm going to go for optimize for clicks and go automatic. You click on place order. You get this confirmation screen, and your ad gets added to a queue. You'll actually be notified when the ad has been approved. That concludes our training video. Thank you for your time. If you do need help or have any questions, please email us support@geographicfarm.com. Thank you.